Alex Harvill. Known for breaking records and defying gravity, Alex was about to attempt what many believed to be impossible, a 351-foot motorcycle jump, aiming to shatter the world record once set by his idol, Robbie Maddison. It was meant to be the defining leap of a career built on fearless ambition. The crowd watched as Alex revved the engine of his heavily modified Suzuki. His helmet nodded once. The bike launched forward. But what happened next silenced the crowd and changed everything. This is the horrifying story of a world record dream that ended in unthinkable tragedy. But before we revisit that devastating moment in the air, we need to understand who Alex Harvill truly was. The devoted father, the relentless rider, and the quiet force behind one of the most dangerous stunts in motorcycle history. Alex Harvill was born on September 11, 1992, in Corona, California. But it wasn't long before his family moved to the small town of Ephrata, Washington, where his passion for motorcycles took root. Long before he could even reach the handlebars himself, Alex was riding on the front of his father's bike, often falling asleep in his lap mid-ride. It was more than just bonding. It was the beginning of an obsession. By age 4, Alex had his own bike, and by his teens, it was clear he wasn't just a kid who liked to ride. He was chasing something bigger. He studied the careers of stunt legends like Evel Knievel and Robbie Maddison, inspired by their insane leaps and fearless ambition. But Alex wasn't just watching, he was training, building ramps in his backyard, riding for hours on homemade dirt tracks, and pushing himself further each day. Despite a life-threatening crash during his childhood that left him with a shattered pelvis, Alex didn't back down. Instead, the accident seemed to harden his resolve. He once said, "If you're not ready to die, you're not ready to live." It was more than a motto, it was how he lived every day. At just 19 years old, Alex broke his first world record with a 425-foot dirt-to-dirt motorcycle jump, the kind of distance that looked more like aviation than motocross. His name entered the record books, and his reputation as a fearless record breaker began to spread. But Alex wasn't doing it for fame. When he wasn't chasing distance records, he was working a regular job on a farm and raising his young family. He loved being a dad just as much as he loved the roar of an engine. He balanced the danger with devotion. But the two parts of his life were always on a collision course. In June 2021, a leap that would take everything he had. It would be his most ambitious jump yet. What no one knew at the time was that it would also be his last. June 17th, 2021. The Moses Lake Airshow in Washington buzzed with anticipation. Among the skydivers, aerobatic pilots, and family attractions, one name stood out on the schedule: Alex Harvill. The 28-year-old daredevil wasn't there to perform a warm-up stunt or casual crowd pleaser. He was there to break a world record. And everyone knew it. The goal? To break Robbie Maddison's 2008 record of 351 feet. A distance so long, it's comparable to launching a dirt bike the full length of a football field, from goalpost to goalpost and beyond. Alex had been preparing meticulously for months. His bike, a Suzuki 450 affectionately nicknamed Susie, had been tuned for the perfect balance of speed, torque, and weight. The custom-built ramp was engineered for the precise launch angle he needed to reach the distance safely. He had shared his excitement just days before, writing on Facebook, "Susie is ready to be sent." It was more than just a stunt. It was a career-defining moment, and it was personal. A month earlier, Alex and his wife Jessica had welcomed their second son into the world. His entire family, including their newborn, was at the event, cheering him on. But this wasn't the first time Alex had attempted greatness. In 2012, at just 19, he had made a 425-foot dirt-to-dirt jump, a feat that stood unmatched, even if it wouldn't be officially recognized by Guinness until years later. He had also qualified for the Supercross night show and earned the Canadian National Number 37 plate, a marker of elite professional status in motocross. Still, world record ramp-to-ramp jumps aren't just about speed or horsepower. They require near-perfect physics and absolute trust in the machinery and timing. Everything must go right. One miscalculation in speed, wind, ramp angle, or suspension response could spell disaster. Alex's attempt at Moses Lake was technically just a practice run, meant to dial in his speed and landing angle before the official jump. As he approached the ramp, everything appeared routine. He accelerated down the runway, hit the takeoff ramp cleanly, and launched into the air. For a brief moment, everything looked perfect. But in a split second, it became clear. Something was off. Alex came up short. The rear wheel of his bike failed to clear the top edge of the landing ramp's downward slope. Instead of rolling down and absorbing the landing as intended, the bike struck the ramp near its peak, jolting violently to a stop. The impact was catastrophic. Alex was launched over the handlebars, his helmet torn off mid-air. Witnesses reported seeing him twist mid-flight, his body slamming into the ground more than 20 feet from the point of impact. The damage had already been done. Alex was rushed to the nearest hospital with critical injuries. Just hours later, he was pronounced dead upon arrival. The autopsy report, released by the Grant County Coroner's Office, confirmed the cause of death: blunt force trauma to the torso. It's believed that the handlebars of his motorcycle delivered the fatal blow, the exact moment when his forward momentum met the unrelenting steel of the machine meant to carry him to greatness. His helmet, being dislodged during the fall, likely made the situation even worse. But according to the coroner, it wasn't the primary cause of death. The violence of the impact alone, at speeds estimated over 90 miles per hour, left little room for survival. Jessica, his wife, later revealed in interviews that despite how dangerous the stunt appeared, she trusted that he knew what he was doing. It wasn't false confidence. Alex had jumped farther before, but world record attempts push boundaries, and sometimes those boundaries push back with fatal consequences. In a particularly cruel twist of fate, the event that claimed Alex's life wasn't even the official jump. It was a practice run, a moment meant to refine, not to risk. But as anyone in the stunt world knows, there's no such thing as a safe practice when you're flying a dirt bike hundreds of feet through the air. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the motocross and stunt communities. One of the sport's most promising, humble, and fearless figures was gone. Not from recklessness, but from ambition and from a drive to keep going, no matter how dangerous the road ahead might be. Alex Harvill's life wasn't defined by the tragedy of his final jump. It was defined by every moment that led up to it. The discipline, the devotion, the sheer love of flight. He wasn't just a stuntman chasing records. He was a father, a husband, a son, and a symbol of what it means to live fearlessly in pursuit of passion. His legacy lives on in Guinness World Records, where his name was officially entered in 2022 for the 425-foot dirt-to-dirt motorcycle jump he completed back in 2012. It took years for that feat to be formally acknowledged, but his mother fought to make sure her son would be remembered, not for how he died, but for what he achieved. Alex often said, "If you're not ready to die, you're not ready to live." It's a haunting quote now, but also a reminder of just how seriously he committed himself to the life he chose. In the world of extreme sports, there's no room for half measures. You either go all in or not at all. But Harvill's death also forced the motocross world to reckon with something darker: the thin line between bravery and irreversible loss, especially when the adrenaline of world records can blind even the most experienced riders to the true cost of a single mistake. He wasn't the first high-profile racer to pay the ultimate price chasing speed and spectacle, and sadly, he likely won't be the last. If you want to understand the weight of this risk, and how another motorsport legend's life ended in an equally haunting fashion, watch our video on the tragic final moments of NASCAR icon Dale Earnhardt Sr. It's a story that echoes this one in more ways than you'd expect.